Hey guys, it's Kai, and today's tutorial is how to create a dynamic image through exposure stacking. This is the after. I'm just going to show you the before. What you will need is a few images of different exposures. That's why it's called exposure stacking. When you're photographing, what I like to do is I like to keep the aperture and ISO the same, and I would mount the camera on a tripod. Then I would adjust shutter speed. For the first image, I like to capture the subject well exposed. For the next image, it's a pretty overexposed shot. The main focus here is the darker areas, so the shadows should be a bit more bright compared to the before image. You can see the forest here as well as the rocks here are better exposed. And for the last image, we want a really dim sky. And we will use some techniques in Photoshop to combine the three images to create a very dynamic and very dramatic shot. This is a very simple technique. You don't really need to know what's going on to do this, but I'm going to explain it a bit anyways, just for anyone who's curious. What we will be using is layer masks as well as the channels. So what a layer mask is, for those who do not know, it's essentially a way to kind of hide layers and kind of stack the layers. When you paint black over the layer mask, it's going to hide whatever you paint on. When you paint white, it's going to reveal whatever you're painting on. And to get the layer mask, all you have to do is click the square with the circle inside, and this creates a layer mask. What we will be doing is we're going to the channels tab. For most people, if you didn't adjust your Photoshop, it should be here. You should see a channels section here. But for me, I just keep it here because I use it quite often. And just Command or Control, if you're on Windows, click the green. And what this does is it selects generally the highlights in the area. Then we're going to navigate to our underexposed shot. So the shot where the sky is well exposed. Then we're just going to click a layer mask. And what happens here is our selection on the layer here actually transferred into the layer mask. So all the highlights are actually retained, but the shadows are more hidden. And just to show you a quick before and after, you can see the sky is actually showing up on our base image. And what we want is we have our base image, which is the image where our subject is well exposed and everything else is a bit overexposed. For example, the sky and the forest and the rocks are a bit underexposed. We will use this as the base because we're going to add in the sky as well as add in the shadows. And next is the shadows. So what we want to do here is we're going to do the same thing. Command or Control click the green channel and then create a layer mask. We're going to invert this layer. Command I if you're on Mac and Control I if you're on Windows. What the invert does is it's going to invert the highlights. So instead of selecting the highlights, we have selected the shadows. And now you can see that this is the base image and we're adding in the shadows. Then we add back the highlights and now you can see the image is becoming a lot more dynamic. This is the before and this is the after once we stack the three different images of different exposures. At this point, we can do our edits. For example, I spent 2 minutes and I added in a nice vignette as well as gave the overall image some saturation and mood. And you can see that the image feels a lot more dramatic as well as colorful. And that's it for today's tutorial. Just a really quick and simple one. If you have any suggestions or any ideas for future videos, please let me know in the comments or you can send me an email. If the video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. and I'll see you guys next time.